Zdravo, Croatian learners! Welcome to LearnCroatian.com. We're here to help you get started or continue on your Croatian learning journey. My name is Ines and I'll be with you every step of the way. Today, I want to talk about grammatical cases. In this video, we're going to talk about three things. First thing is, what is a grammatical case? Second, how many cases are there in Croatian? And third, maybe most important one, how do you determine a case? So stay tuned and let's get started. So what is a grammatical case? A grammatical case is a grammatical category which reflects the function that the word has in a sentence. Now, this may sound weird, but if you look at any grammar, every word in a sentence has its role or its function. For instance, if you take a sentence, the cat is sleeping, then the cat, the word the cat, is going to be the subject of the sentence. She is the one performing the action or actually sleeping. And is sleeping is a verb, which makes it a predicate, which is the main verb and the main word in a sentence. So if we know that all the words in a sentence have their function, then we can easier understand what a case is. So in Croatian, when different words change their functions or their roles in a sentence, they change their forms or the way they look. So if you have a word cat, which is mačka, the word cat would change its form depending on if it's a subject or an object or some other function in the sentence. So let's look at the sentence, the cat is sleeping. In Croatian, this sentence would sound like this: mačka spava. Okay, so we said the cat, mačka, is the subject and is sleeping is the predicate or the verb or the action in the sentence. Now, if I change the function of the word cat into from a subject to an object, for instance, I see a cat, then the word cat will change its form and it would sound like this: I see a cat. Vidim mačku. As you can see, the noun cat changed its form from mačka to mačku. And this is because the word changed its function. So it changed its form. This is called a declension in Croatian. And we will learn more about it later. But for now, let's understand what a case is. Actually, you are more familiar with the cases than you think. In English, pronouns also reflect the cases. Well, let's look at the simple sentence. Mom is beautiful. In the sentence, I saw mom. Now, you'll notice that in both of these sentences, mom changes its function. Mom in one sentence is a subject and in the second sentence is an object. We already learned that in Croatian, these sentences would cause the word mom to change its form. In English, the same thing happens, although maybe not with nouns, but with pronouns. Check this out. If we were to substitute the noun mom with the pronoun she, what would these sentences sound like? Mom is beautiful. We would say she is beautiful. But in the sentence, I saw mom, we can't say I saw she. We would actually have to say I saw her, because she was an object. She's no longer a subject. So the pronoun changed. So you see, English also has some sorts of cases. Well, in Croatian, it's very similar, only a little bit more delicate and a little bit more complicated. So I want to help you get started with this. So let's go to the second point. How many cases are there in Croatian? Well, in Croatian, thankfully, there are only 7 cases. So what are these 7 cases? These 7 cases are nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, vocative, locative, and instrumental. Now, forgive me if my English pronunciation is not quite exact, but if you were saying these cases in Croatian, they would sound almost the same: nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, vocative, locative, and instrumental. So now let's dig in. How do we determine the cases in Croatian? Each of the cases has its corresponding questions that you can ask before reading a certain word to be able to determine which case it's in. However, this might not help you a lot, especially if you're only starting to learn Croatian. If you want to know more about what these questions are, you are welcome to check out our blog. But here, I want to talk about something that would actually help you determine which case you need to use when you're making your own sentence. Now, in our article about the Croatian cases, you will see that I've talked about 3 different types of declensions. Well, a declension is actually an action that you take, taking the word through different cases, through these 7 cases. So when the word changes the form, going from one case to another, this is declension. And this declension, it's helpful to learn because each declension has its own suffixes or endings, which you can use later or you can memorize later so you can know which ending goes with each word. Well, also to understand the declension, you also need to learn about genders, which I've spoken about in another video and in another article. But for now, I want to talk to you first about how can you tell which case do you need to use in a sentence. This is what I want you first to understand. And then later you can use the article and learn these different endings for each case. So let's go case by case, okay? For the first case, nominative, it's going to be quite easy because nominative is let's call it a basic case. It's the basic form in which you will learn a noun. Each noun in a dictionary, wherever you find it, it's in its nominative case. So when you use it in a sentence, just remember that the subject of the sentence is most likely always in its nominative case. So, for instance, mom is beautiful, the cat is sleeping. All of these, cat, mom, all of these nouns would be in its nominative case. So, how about other cases? Let's talk about genitive. A genitive case is often used when you want to express possession or origin or a trait. Next case is dative. It's easiest to remember dative case as giving something, selling something to someone. So if you are giving something to mom, so to mom would be in a dative case. This is maybe the easiest way to remember this case. Dative is often confused with locative case. Now, if you look at locative, you can kind of hear the location, correct? So locative case is used to describe a location where something is happening. Remember that locative and dative are usually the same. Well, actually, they're not the same, but the words which come in the form of dative or locative both have pretty much the same form. However, you can tell them apart because locative almost always comes with prepositions like in, within, etc. So just remember, locative and dative are quite similar. Now, what about accusative? Don't worry, you're not accusing anybody of anything, but just remember that accusative actually is always an object or the word that has the accusative case or that is in the accusative case is almost always the object of the sentence. Vocative is actually quite easy because vocative is used whenever you are addressing someone or whenever you're calling out to someone. Now, vocative, the noun in vocative will always be separated by a comma in a sentence. Now, the final case is instrumental case. The word, its name might actually hint that it's the case of instrumentality or companionship. So what does that mean? Usually when you want to say that you are doing something with someone or by something, you use the instrumental case. Just a heads up though, these are just the general rules where these cases are used. Of course, again, Croatian is complex. So the easiest way to learn all of this actually is not to sit down and memorize these grammar rules. It's actually to speak the language, because after some time, you will notice, even just by hearing the language, you will notice that the native speakers change the forms, and you will notice that the endings of some words reappear in same instances in a sentence. So it will actually be much easier to learn these things by hearing them, by listening to them, and by actively speaking than just sitting down and memorizing some grammar rules. But if you do want to know more, please visit our website and check out our blog and our articles. There's an article about genders as well, and this will be helpful to you when you learn cases. And just a little hint that all the adjectives and pronouns and nouns actually have to match in their case and in their gender. And there's also a whole story about singular and plural, the count of nouns, but we will cover that later. For now, I hope this has been a good introduction to the cases. Again, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I will be here for you. Good luck in your Croatian learning journey. Sretno, and see you next time.